Thanks, Erin.
Wonderful. Welcome to the December meeting of our Essex Region Source Protection Committee. I'm going to begin our meeting with a land acknowledgement. I'm going to acknowledge that we in the Essex region are on the land of the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi peoples. And in keeping with Indigenous practices, we like to begin our meetings with a statement of hope and a statement of gratitude. So I hope that we have an excellent and thoughtful meeting today, and hope that we all have a wonderful holiday season ahead of us. And I'll hand it over to you, Tom.
Figure out how to unmute myself. Thank you very much, Katie, and welcome to all. We've got a big crowd here today, and that's good. So first of all, I'll call the meeting to order officially and have some comments in my welcome, things that have been going on for your information. I met with Kristen Corrigal by Zoom, who's our new person at the ministry. Kristen has excellent familiarity with Essex Windsor, including having family in the area. We spoke candidly about the state of the program, and she shared a couple of upcoming things, which you may or may not have heard of. Ministry is asking this year for a 2-year work plan and funding submission, something we've been promoting for years. This should lead to a little more stability for our SPA staff and work planning. This planning submission needs to be informed by changes in the director's rules, which we have finally received the final version of, and has a near deadline. It was December 31st, which meant that Katie wouldn't have been able to be Mrs. Paws. She'd be working, but it's been extended to January 14th if she asks for it, which I'm sure she will. As well as by the initiatives that we decided already that should be proposed for next year. Be more on that a little later in the meeting. Chloe Stewart and Kristen Corrigal have brought new life to Branch Direction, and I was pleased with the interview. So Mary, you can take that back if you'd like. Meeting this morning with ministry and staff and chairs and program managers, and heard several presentations about engagement. Conservation Ontario talked about the rather extensive work they've accomplished in developing communication pieces that are available to all of us. And you can go on the Conservation Ontario site and look at the source protection section and see some of those. Sabo Bayfield, Maitland, ABMV. Maitland Valley presented about their communication video work, and they've done several little videos, and they were the genesis for our road sign video. Actually, they encouraged us by what they were doing. We're continuing this work using committee members to talk about source water protection and how it affects activities in which they are involved. So put that in the back of your mind, and if you have some ideas about that, we can do a video with you and put it on our site. There was questions about Source Water 101 materials and programs for new SPA and SPC members. We are expecting likely next year there'll be new SPA members, depending on election results and so on. I want to welcome Chad Quinlan, who's on a tractor in a field somewhere doing corn. I don't know if he can hear us or not, but his link is still up. So welcome to Chad. He's our newest member representing the farming community. Welcome also Mary Whitting, who's here in place of Olga, who you're familiar with. Mary is standing in at least until Olga's replacement is worked out, and we wish Olga the best. She's on a mat leave.
Nope, not a mat leave.
Had a
Not a
mat leave. Oh, it isn't. Oh,
Oh,
she got
yeah,
an appointment. Okay.
she's filling in for somebody. This is true.
Ah, sorry,
It's okay.
lost my head.
There's no replacement for Olga. I'm just gonna drop that in there.
However, Laura is going on mat leave starting in February. And so we congratulate her and wish her the best. And Kathleen Schneckenberger will stand in as RMA while she's gone. And then I guess after she comes back, they will share duties in that regard. In February, you'll likely get a review of the actual changes that were passed. We've had updates from Katie on this along the way about the director's rules and how it involves our work. And as part of that, I've asked Katie to do a little review of that so that it will make the proposals that she makes in February for our work plan make a little more sense. The Conservation Ontario Act was updated, and it affects the Source Protection Authority, or IRCA. Larry is probably heavily involved in this or knows all about it. The good news is that the source protection activity remains a core mandate for IRCA. And so we're going to be around for a little while, it looks like. And did I miss anything, Katie? Katie and I talked about getting a report on the hits counter for video and links that we have on the site, just to see if how much activity there is on the site for source protection.
I'm not sure how to check the website, but we do have 113 views of our source protection sign video that we put out. Interestingly, I think that a lot of the other PMs in a lot of the other regions are viewing it. So if you're here in the Essex region, find that YouTube video. I think I put it out in an email to you guys. Send it out to your friends and family so that people are seeing it, and we're getting more and more of that. People understanding what those signs mean. So go ahead and share away.
Yeah, it is an indicator of success of the program too. So the more the merrier. Let's see, I guess that's about it for what I have today. Bill is on phone. Bill Dukes. Is he? Katie, do you know?
No, it doesn't look like he's on the phone. I think he's here. He's just muted. He just doesn't have his camera on.
A video from him.
Yeah.
And
Bill,
Tom Hunt has joined us as well, I see.
Yep. Yeah. Tom's driving and unable to turn his camera on, and Chad's on his tractor and unable to turn his camera on. And there's Bill.
Hi, Bill. There is a Bill, but he's muted himself, so we can't hear him. Okay. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest? I hate that term. Are there any declarations of interest in the agenda of today? Seeing none. There was an agenda pre-circulated. Motion on the agenda. Matthew and Chris, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. There were minutes pre-circulated from our October meeting. Motion on the minutes. Ron and Albert. Any addition, deletion, correction? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carried. No correspondence. I had welcomed Mary, but we have others on from the public that I should welcome as well, who are on camera, Heather and Cynthia.
Oh, no, Cynthia is an SPC member, just Heather.
Oh, okay.
She's our longstanding guest, and
Yeah.
we always appreciate having Heather here to stay on top of what's
Sure.
going on with source protection.
Yeah, Cynthia, I apologize, Cynthia, because I think you swap around a little bit and I got to remember what part you're in today. Yeah. All right.
The
so
screen
thank
jumps
you.
around. It makes it hard to keep track of sometimes.
Great. Okay. So Mary, you have any words of wisdom for us?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Well, our updates are, well, Tom, you covered many of the updates that I would generally cover, and I'm sure Katie has lots to say about the directed technical rules. So I feel relief as well as everybody else, all the project managers that they're finally approved on the environmental registry as of December 3rd. And now it's, I guess, go time for the project managers and for your committees. So that'll be a fun couple of years worth of work there. The only other, I guess the best practices, I mean, there's no real update on that. The best practices for source protection are still, they haven't been released yet, but we're working towards releasing those best practices and looking forward to that as well, hopefully early in the new year. And as for the funding, Tom, you mentioned that it's a big news for us that it's 2 years. That was quite a win for the program to get 2 years with the funding, and that also will complicate Katie's work in the next little piece to add those director technical rules and how you're going to incorporate them. That's all I have. I'm sure that Katie's got lots more on all those topics to share. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Can you just clarify? So are we going to a 2 liaison officer model? So there won't be a replacement for Olga. Is that what you said?
No,
Okay.
we will be replaced. What I was saying is there really is no replacement for Olga. I think very highly of Olga.
Got it. I do too. Yes, we really enjoyed having Olga with us. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, but we will be recruiting and hiring another liaison, and your group, her portfolio will be picked up by that new person and supported by Beth Forrest and myself.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Mary. I agree. We will miss Olga. We've really enjoyed having her with us.
Yeah.
Okay, I think this is my part of the show. Are we ready for reports, Tom?
Just got to remember how to unmute. No, I was just going to say to Mary that she should look forward to your year 2 version of your work plan, because now you're really able to go to town.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah. Anyway, the report SPC 6 for 21. Update on our risk management services is next, I guess.
Yep, you got it. Okay, so I just got a couple slides. We've got a pretty nice light agenda to ease us into the new year. There's a lot of stuff that happened like late November and like last week, so I'm not quite ready to dive into the details with everything with you guys today, but you'll get a little flavor of some of these things. So the first report we have, report 6, is our risk management update. Laura's here. I'm going to speak to it, but Laura will be available to ask any questions. And you're hearing this report a little bit earlier than you normally would because Laura is heading off on mat leave in February. So we wanted to have the opportunity for Laura to be available to answer those questions. So as you know or may recall, we provide, the Essex Region Source Protection Authority provides risk management services for all of the municipalities in the Essex region and the municipality of Chatham-Kent. And we're actually in the process right now of amending that agreement, just waiting on the last few municipalities to take that amended agreement to their councils and get that signed. But there's no indication that any of the municipalities are planning on stepping away from that agreement. So we will be continuing to provide that service for them. And our risk management official implements all of the policies that are written under Part 4 of the Clean Water Act for the Essex region and for that southern portion of Chatham-Kent. So I'm going to keep this nice and sweet on the existing threats. We are almost done. We are almost there. It's been a bit of a haul for these last few. And we only have 2 more outstanding existing threats in the Essex region, and those are the crude oil pumping sites. And Laura is working with Lagasco. They are the sole property owner of all of the remaining existing threats. So they've got all of the paperwork that they need. We're just waiting on them to get that back to us, and we're pushing them to get it to us before Christmas, so that when we do our annual reporting this year, we get to say that that policy is 100% fully implemented. So that is our goal and our last push on the existing threats. The exciting thing that happened this year with existing threats, if you can call writing risk management plans for fuel tanks exciting, is that Laura actually issued 4 of those risk management plans by order. So there were these outstanding properties that you've heard us speak to you about before, where Laura was unable to make contact with the landowner. They weren't returning phone calls. When she was going on site, no one was answering the door or actually running away from her. So we were unable to make contact at those sites. So we consulted with the ministry and got some advice as to how to proceed, made sure that our municipalities were aware that we were proceeding in this manner. And Laura did prepare, she issued a notice. They had 120 days to respond to that notice. They didn't. And then Laura prepared the risk management plans and actually physically zip tied them to their fences. And, now they have these risk management plans in place that they are legally bound to adhere to. And for those 4 sites, they're all sites that have empty fuel tanks. So those risk management plans state that the tank is empty and that it needs to remain empty. And if it doesn't, they need to change their risk management plan. So that's our exciting news on existing threats. For future threats for our Section 59, Laura actually completed 8 risk management plans this year through the Section 59 screening process. So those are new fuel tanks, and those are all greenhouses. And I believe they're mostly in Leamington. Laura, there's maybe 1 in Kingsville. Yeah, and this is a big number. This doubles our number in 1 year of new risk management plans. So we now have a total of 16 risk management plans established through the Section 59 process. We did municipal training. So every year when we do the annual reporting, I give the municipalities a template, and in that template, they can check off whether they would like to have a refresher training for risk management. So this year we did that refresher training for Chatham-Kent, Town of Essex, Kingsville, LaSalle, Leamington, and Tecumseh. And we did that in the spring for them because they just have their fuel threats, and their written direction didn't change. For Lakeshore, Amherstburg, and Windsor, we wanted to write an additional written direction that I'm going to talk about, because they've got those additional significant drinking water threats in their IPZ1s and for Windsor, the IPZ2. And the screening process wasn't working quite right for that. So we wanted to redo their written direction to make sure we were capturing that. So we completed that for Amherstburg and Lakeshore, and they received their refresher training in October. And we're still working on the City of Windsor written directions. So Tom and Kevin, you'll be hearing from us early in 2022 to do that refresher training for the City of Windsor with a new written direction. So this I included as an attachment to this so that you can see what we sent out to the municipalities, what the written direction is now. So for Lakeshore and Amherstburg, it adds another step. So previously the written direction was very simple. Is the property in the event-based area? Is it non-residential? And is there a fuel tank on the property? So we add an extra step in here. So we have, is it in the event-based area? Is it non-residential? And then is it also in the IPZ1? If the property is in the IPZ1, then our municipalities are screening for the installation of any kind of permanent storage. We don't need them to figure out what it is. If the proposal includes some kind of permanent storage, it goes to the risk management official, and then they determine whether a risk management plan is required. And then as well, we have agricultural activity included in there because the application and storage of agricultural source material and non-agricultural source material are included. Keeping in mind that the Lakeshore IPZ1 is literally the pier that heads out to the marina, so we don't anticipate any of this stuff happening. And the IPZ1 for Amherstburg is mostly residential properties developed as housing. So we still don't anticipate seeing much of this stuff, and there should not be any agricultural activity in these areas. So that's the new written direction for Lakeshore and Amherstburg. And just wanted to also highlight now is something that we're kind of keeping our eye on in the Amherstburg IPZ1. There's a large piece of property where they're now storing a lot of gravel for municipal projects and for building projects. So that's something that we've, I was in communication with Olga. I got a notice from the Ministry of Environment asking, should this be a significant drinking water threat? The water treatment plant is right here and the intake is right here. And the actual act of storing gravel is not a significant drinking water threat, but something that we are sort of monitoring to see, what is going to be happening with this piece of property. There's also another piece of vacant property here where there's just recently been some pretty heavy land moving going on, and I believe that was for a sewer repair. So we are sort of keeping our eye on these two currently empty properties and making sure that the municipality is aware of the source protection policies that apply to those two properties. And then we also noted there's an auto body shop and a body repair shop that are very close to the water treatment plant. Currently, DNAPLs, so dense non-aqueous phase liquids, are not considered a significant drinking water threat for us. But when we implement the new director technical rules, it will be. So these two properties will likely end up being included as needing risk management plans. So just something to keep in mind as we move forward. The next things for risk management, we're moving into the compliance phase, which is also very exciting. So we've got all our existing threats taken care of. Laura and I have been working on creating a simple compliance form, a little self-serve checklist that we think will be really user-friendly, and we'll be sending that out in batches so that we can manage the responses. So, just asking people to, do these fuel tanks still exist on your property? Did you add any new fuel tanks? Did you decommission any fuel tanks? Do you still have all of these documents in place? And can you send us a sample of your training and compliance and inspection records? So we anticipate that should be a pretty easy, straightforward process. So we'll be starting that early in 2022. And that's it for risk management. So this is just a report to be received by the SPC, unless there's any questions.
Any questions? I don't see any hands going up. So I guess we're good, Katie.
Okay.
Thank you very much, by the way.
You're welcome.
It's good to see that we're going to be able to check that off our list.
Yes, we're very excited.
Okay. And so the next report is
Oh, sorry, Tom, we need to motion to receive.
Motion to receive. Tim and Nelson. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay, source protection report 07 for 21.
So I just wanted to, I was hoping by the time we had this meeting that I would have already had the technical rules for a while so that we could dig into them at this meeting. But as I was preparing this agenda, the director technical rules came out. And this is, I have to compliment our ministry staff. They worked really hard on the technical rules, and the holdup was not in the staff. It was really just an administrative holdup in getting them approved. So everybody, source protection staff and PMs, everybody's very happy to have these in our hands so that we can move forward with the next steps. So what that applies to for us is our Section 36 work plan. So you may recall that back in 2018, we did an extensive review of our source protection plan and the assessment report, and we came up with that Section 36 work plan that had a bunch of proposed updates that we included. and that was submitted to the ministry. And then we received a revised Section 36 order from the minister when did we get that? I don't have that date there. Anyway, we received that in 2019. And for us, what we said was that we would submit all of our updates within 5 years. So we have until the end of 2023 to submit our Section 36 updates. Our minister's order included several mandatory updates. So this just gives you an idea of where we're at with our mandatory updates. Most of them are complete or in progress. The handling and storage of fuel is only in progress because we updated our policies per the 2017 updates to the Director Technical Rules, and we'll just have to update those policies again. So that's a pretty simple change there. So what we'll be doing, what I will be doing from now until we meet again in February is I'm going to be looking at the Director Technical Rules that were approved and comparing them to the previous version that we saw. And if you look back to SPC report 1020, we did a really deep dive into the proposed Director Technical Rule changes and how it would impact the Essex region. So I will resend you the document that I prepared at that time so that you can start to sort of warm yourself up to this. And I think, we're still expecting some guidance documents from the ministry, and some of that will help us understand what changed between the last version that we saw and this version. But I think my understanding is that it will probably be mostly editorial. So I don't anticipate there being like big changes between then and now. And then what we'll do in February is we'll discuss those things. We'll prioritize what we want to include in our Section 36 update and start working on that work plan for everything that's to come for us in 2022 and 2023. We've also got annual progress reports coming up. So as you know, we are required as the Source Protection Authority to have an annual progress report delivered to the ministry and available online by May 1st of every year. And we receive our data from our implementing bodies by February 1st. And what we do is we provide our municipalities with a template early in 2022. So those will be received in January. And there's going to be 2 new items on the municipal template. So for our municipal reps who are here, just to kind of, again, give you a little bug in your ear that these are coming. I'm going to be asking for the location of your road signs. And this is to add the data. There's an online story map now that's really lovely. And a lot of work went into the roadside education campaign. And this will help to sort of populate that and show just how many of these road signs are out there in Ontario. It will also help me. I was looking for road signs when we made our roadside video, and there's still some of the old signs out there. So it'll help me sort of locate where those old signs are so that we can make sure that they're replaced with the new ones. The other thing I'm going to be doing with annual reporting starting this year, and it'll happen annually from this point forward, is I'm going to be asking for some information about changes to transport pathways. And this is probably going to have a little bit of growing pains involved with it as we figure out the right questions to ask. But what we're looking for is updates to any sort of drainage map that you may have. And that would include, if a drain has been added or removed or moved, so that we have an idea of the most accurate possible drainage layer, because our event-based area is dependent on having that accurate layer. So we'll start asking questions about the transport pathways. As was mentioned, we have a 2-year budgeting this time, which is exciting, but also challenging because we're used to doing it 1 year at a time. And we have some big stuff happening in the next 2 years. Now that we've, got our direction for moving forward, we're going to be doing a lot of work in 2022. And then we'll be moving into our consultation phase for our updated source protection plan in 2023. So lots of stuff about to happen for everybody. I also included for you guys in this report just a draft proposed 2022 schedule for the SPC. So you'll see we're gonna bump up from 4 to 5 meetings a year so that we can cover some of this ground. And so anticipating meeting in February to talk about the technical rules. In March, we'll talk about the annual reporting. And then June, September, and November will actually have some technical content to go through in those meetings. That's it for me.
It works better when I unmute. Thank you, Katie.
Welcome.
Very good report. Any questions for Katie on any of that stuff? The one thing occurred to me for some of the new members, we talked quite a bit about section this and section that, and that's a reference to the part of the act that directs that activity. So you don't have to read the whole act, but you probably should. You probably should attempt to read the parts of the act that deal with specific activities that Katie's talking about. For instance, section 36. And I don't know, Katie, if we could get together a sort of a package that lifts out those sections that apply to us, lifts out the language so that we could circulate them and people could actually see what section 36 is talking about. Might be helpful to some of the new members anyway.
Yeah, I feel like we have something. I think the ministry circulated some training materials. There's also, I recorded a training session, so that's so I will make sure that Chad has that if I haven't sent it already. But yes, I do need to. It's, you get so used to speaking the language, and then suddenly you realize that it is a language, and maybe not everybody knows what you're talking about. I do try to give you the context in every one of our meetings, so I don't expect you to remember everything, because it's a lot. It's a lot of technical words.
I've been here since 2006, and I don't remember them all the time.
Yeah, it's okay.
I do find myself going back and looking up what exactly are we talking about here.
Yeah. Section 36 is the section of the act that that requires that we update the source protection plan from time to time. And we are given a date by the minister as to when that needs to happen. So the first date when the plan was approved was that we needed to do a comprehensive review of it in 2018. And then we have a revised order, and that revised order tells us when we have to have those updates completed.
Right. That's in a lot better language than the legislation.
Yeah, the legislation's tough to read. You don't need to do that.
But you might struggle through that just as an exercise committee, just to get an idea of what Katie and her team are always dealing with. Okay. Is there any new business?
Excuse me, I need a motion to receive.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Lisa.
Sorry. Thanks, Lisa. Somebody's listening. Motion by Chris and by John Barnett. All in favor? Opposed? Carried? Thank you. Any new business?
I just wanted to make a little note. We're doing Aoda Compliance. So you'll start to see some changes to our website. And one of the first changes that's going to happen is basically none of our documents have been Aoda compliant. And, Lisa and myself were considered super users. So we've been getting extra training on how to make our documents compliant, but it's not as easy as you might think it is, and there may be cursing involved. I'm not sure, but the first thing that's going to happen is that we'll be pulling all of the previous agendas off of the website. And instead, what we've done is I've created an inventory of all of the reports. So there'll be a table with an inventory of all the reports. So it'll have the date and the report number and the title of the report. So people can ask for that if needed. So I think Aaron will be doing that soon. So if you desperately want to download any of the previous agendas before he does that, then you can go ahead and do that. And otherwise, if there's ever anything that you feel like you're missing, then we will email that out to you.
Okay. Anything else? Other business, I have nothing. Except something after the meeting's over.
Mhm.
Ask you to stay around after the meeting's over for 3 minutes.
Mhm.
And so a motion to adjourn. Tim and Albert, all in favor? Everybody's ready to go. Okay.
Okay, awesome. I will just
Very-
turn us off of YouTube. So thank you for watching. If you